Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So I don't typically make these kinds of videos. I don't have that many subscribers and nobody really cares, so there's not much of a purpose to make a video about what I'm going to talk about. But I just felt compelled to, mainly because I was thinking about how long I've been making these videos on YouTube. And it's been like a little over a year. I think I started in like April of last year really making videos. I did it a few years before. Like if you go back and look at the beginning of my channel, it was just some videos I posted of my band's music. It's like a handful of videos I posted, and then I didn't post anything else for many years. So the channel was not really an active channel until last April, when I got the urge, I guess from sitting around and not being able to play shows. I started wanting to document my my Zoom project. I used to keep a diary, and it was all it was just like a written diary, and it really was compelling. I've never documented anything before. I've always been big on just kind of doing things, and never been a journal writer or document keeper, you know, when I was doing a project. And going back and looking at how I did everything and having it all documented was really cool, and it really was helpful at different points when I would go back and look for material to keep the record together, because I didn't realize how much effort it was going to take to do it all by myself and do 10 songs and all, you know, everything that was going to go down. So the documentation was quite helpful. I don't know why exactly, but it helped me to have it documented. And so I sort of started thinking about making videos for the same purpose. Like, okay, I can actually document the recording of the record. I can document takes. I can document what I'm doing with the Zoom, and then I will be interacting with other people that are doing the same thing, and they're going to teach me stuff, and I can hopefully help them. You know, that's like my main goal with it. So that's kind of how the channel evolved. And I didn't have any specific goals of it for it. I wasn't like attempting to become like a YouTube personality or anything like that. Just some background on me. I'm 53 years old this year. In August I'll be 53, and my peak time in the music business was back in the 1990s when I was in my 20s. That's when I was in the mode of being like a competitive person on planet Earth, trying to make it, you know, and I was in that kind of mode. I don't really feel like I'm in that mode anymore, mainly because the kind of music that I was making in the 90s was the kind of music that was like marketable music of its day. People wanted to hear the kind of music that I was making. It happened to have fallen into favor, you know, as far as like the public sphere. People were listening to that type of music, and it happened to be the kind of music that I was writing. It happened to be the kind of music that the guys in my band were writing, that we were writing together, you know, that we were going and recording. And suddenly that kind of music suddenly became popular like overnight. It was very shocking, very surprising. We actually got phone calls from major labels while we were sitting in our house. We all lived together like the monkeys, and we would start getting these calls from major labels trying to get us to sign with them. You know, just literally call us on the phone. That's the kind of frenzy that was going on after Nirvana. And I knew of a lot of friends' bands that had some of the similar stuff happen to them. You know, and people were signing deals and making records, and all kinds of things were going on. And during that time period, the music I was making was super relevant as far as like its commercial appeal. You know, fast forward 25, 27 years, however many years it's been, and you know, that's not in play anymore. Like, I don't even know if guitar-based music is you know, a thing as far as like commercial. I don't even really know. Honestly, I don't even know what it is, because I'm pretty far removed from commercial music. I actually like pop music and, you know, melodic, hooky music, but I don't know what music is, you know, popular. I don't know what it would take to make a popular, like, I don't know what people do when they go and try to make music that to make for the radio. I don't know what it is they're doing, because back in my day I knew what it was they were doing, because I was a part of it, and it was, you know, my era. I don't consider this my era right now. I'm not, you know, part of the driving force of music anymore. The genre that I play is an older guy's genre now. I'm considered old, and the stuff that I'm doing, you know, is from the past. So I'm not super, I guess I'm no longer motivated in the same way that I was in my 20s to succeed like that. So when I made the channel, it was more about documenting my projects, like documenting an art project and reaching out to other people. I found that to be satisfying in life, helping others, and building communities, musical communities. And since we're now making a type of music that's kind of a niche, we bond together and create this little world and do our thing. We don't have to have widespread acclaim to enjoy ourselves. We don't have to make music that's marketable. And that's the same way I feel about the channel. I'm not really attempting to become a YouTube personality, that has like a zillion subscribers and a career as like a marketing person, because that's how I see it. And because I'm old, because I'm 53 this year, I came from a different era, and we had a different mentality back then, and or at least I did, and I know a lot of my friends did as well. And if you came from like the punk rock world at all, which I did, and the kind of music that we played was punk-ish, mine was more pop. It just depends on what way you're coming at it. But in those days, it wasn't cool to sell out. Selling out in the 20th century was frowned upon in our genre of music. And the year punk broke, 1991, it was a really big deal. And part of it was that the idea was going to be they were going to control how it got big. Like when Nirvana got signed and that whole thing started, it opened up the floodgates. I mean, it was the reason that we had the little attention that we got from all those labels was because of what happened with Nirvana. And it started a huge thing, but it only lasted for a few years. It was a really, really quick. It was one of the fastest. It was only a couple of years. That whole grunge explosion. It quickly morphed into more radio-friendly stuff, and then it was gone. And it moved to other popular genres quickly. So those years of that kind of stuff were brief. And when people would succeed in those days, you had to do it in a certain way. You didn't want to look like you were taking everything, And I think about an artist like Neil Young. He actually made a point of this. He had a song called This Note's for You, because at the time, there were older artists, people like Eric Clapton. He's probably the best example. Eric Clapton was doing beer commercials and soundtrack music. I remember he had a song that he had, I think, licensed to a beer commercial. I don't remember which company. But I think the song After Midnight was used in some of these ads. And so there were certain artists that were kind of known to be for sale. They did not have a problem with that. And it was usually the older generation. People who had been like 60s types, who had been counterculture in the 60s. In the 80s, were like Fat Cat types, super wealthy and high production videos, and they were pop artists now. So everything had changed from the 60s to the 80s. And so there was kind of a reaction to that. And artists like Neil Young noticed it and said, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make music for a beer company. I'm making music for myself, sponsored by no one. And it was sponsored by nobody. And it was a very major statement. He did a video and everything, and it was like a big deal. I mean, the song wasn't like a big hit or anything, but people noticed. And I think that my age group agreed, like the Gen X age group agreed with that assessment, that it was too much and that it did not look good to strive that hard for success, and it did not look good to sell out. In fact, it was an undesirable thing, and if you did it, you wanted to hide it. You didn't want people to know that you'd done it. And in the 90s, a lot of the bands that signed major labels, they signed with labels that looked like they were indie, but they were actually major labels, and the labels were going out of their way to sort of mask their presence They didn't want to put Geffen Records on it. They put DGC so that you wouldn't associate it with a Cher album. You would see it as this new punk rock thing. So there was a lot of deception going on in the marketplace too, like just people wanted to be seen as being pure. And somehow now, I don't know, that's shifted. And I don't know if this generation feels that same pressure. I don't know if that's still a thing. Where you have people now that actively are going out of their way to be sponsored by someone and to, sell things. And selling things is not something that I ever had in my vision as like what I wanted to do. And all my videos, every single one of them, none of them have ever been sponsored by anyone. I've never made any money at all. And these don't cost any money either. Like people talk about, oh, I need to make all this money because, how am I going to make these videos for you guys? I really want to make these. I mean, the videos don't cost any money. My camera was $500. The tripod was like $60. My lighting kit was $300, and I got this over a year's doing it. It wasn't like I even had to buy it all at once. I already had the camera. I used that for photography, professional photography, and all this stuff I can use for other things. My Zoom, how cheap those are. I got my Zoom for $200. So none of this is costing me any money. Don't feel bad. It costs me nothing. I don't mind doing this. I'm going to be doing it anyway. I'm just documenting it. I find it annoying when I see somebody tell someone, hey, I'm doing this, but man, it's really a lot of work. You're going to have to start, forking over some cash or I'm not going to be able to keep it up. I find that distasteful. I find it distasteful to be sponsored by somebody and not tell anyone, Like I don't mind. I guess if it happens somehow, I've had 2 offers. I only have 200 subs or whatever, which is like a micro channel on YouTube. That's like basically nothing. And even I've been offered a couple of bizarre sponsorships. One of them was for like this pathetic product that had nothing to do with anything. It was like a microphone for teachers. And it had nothing to do with anything that I'm doing, that anybody that would be watching these videos would be interested in. So I was just like, why would I do such a thing? And it seems to me like if I were to start doing that, the people that watch these videos and get something out of them might like roll their eyes like, what? What is this thing he's selling now? And every time I go to one of the channels that I like to watch and they're big on the selling thing, it just sort of bums me out. It's just not my thing. I'm not really into like tons of like commerce and like getting people to buy stuff. Whenever I do videos about and I show something I bought, I'm just documenting it. Hopefully because the thing that I bought is going to be a useful thing, and I'm sharing it with you, and I'm documenting the fact that I have it, just like keeping a diary. It's not like, hey, you should go buy you one too. Only if you think it would help. Like I really like this Rane MS1B, but I don't even think it exists anymore. You have to buy it like used. I don't think they make it anymore. I don't even know what Rane does. Like it's kind of a strange company. I don't even know what they do. So I'm not sponsored by Rane. I don't even know if they sponsor anyone. It may. I don't know. So the whole thing, I'm not into it. So when you watch my channel, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I can't say for sure that I never will. Like if somebody, like I don't know if you've seen any of my Lawler pickups. If those Lawler people contacted me and said, hey, would you make a video I definitely would do that. Mainly because I'd love to have any kind of contact with a company like that. If I think it's awesome and I think the product is awesome and like it makes somebody's life that awesome and it's these cool engineers making things, yeah, I'll definitely get into that, that something like that. But they don't need me, you know what I'm saying? That none of this needs to be. A lot of it doesn't even need to be, I think. So I think it's probably going to die anyway. I think a lot of this stuff that's on YouTube is probably already peaked, and just being old, everything changes. So whatever's happening right now, it ain't going to keep happening. It'll change, and money always finds new ways to do what it does. So I guess the whole point of the video is when you watch these videos, my main thing is just documenting my projects, helping people with the Zoom, or with recording or anything that I can help people with. It's like a goal. It's an objective of the channel. That's what I'm all about. I don't make money on this, and it doesn't cost me any money, so nobody should feel bad about it. Or anyone that's, if you're doing something, you shouldn't make people feel guilty because they're not paying you for it. Come on. So I find a lot of this stuff distasteful. It's not my cup of tea. It's not what I want to be doing with my life. I don't want to be known as like a shill. That's what it is to me. It's shilling. And that used to be a no-no, you know, from the world I came from. That's not what we were all about, you know. And I've gotta live the way I gotta live, you know. I can't twist myself. I have to be the person that I am at all times, or I'm a fraud, you know. So that's my thoughts on the whole YouTube thing. If you're ever wondering what I'm up to, the whole point of it is to tell people about my projects, the Zoom, talk about music. I mean, I like putting my music out there. That's awesome. That's like already promoting something. You're already promoting something. I don't need to sell stuff too. You know, that's kind of how I feel about it. Next time.